there is a taijutsu that goes along with Gyokoryu. So every school kind of has their own way of moving. So like when we study Kokoro Kempo, right, or Swan Fa Kempo, then it has a way that you move. There's a way that you're supposed to, you move the body, and you can kind of get a feel for what you're trying to do in that particular type of movement or environment, if you will, right? Same thing with like Tenjin Jujutsu. It has a certain kind of feel to it. So each one kind of has their own feel. So I thought we would run a lot of drills today that would actually give you a better understanding of how the school fights rather than just doing kata. Because sometimes kata doesn't really give you a feeling of what you're really shooting for. It just kind of teaches principles of how you can use certain skills in a fight, right? But primarily we'll be working off Joryaku no Maki, and we'll kind of play with all of them a little bit, just so you can kind of get kind of an understanding of it. When you're learning kata, it's kind of important that you know that kata is kind of like a chain, right? You know, like you've seen a chain, with all these little links in the chain. You ever hear the old saying, the chain is only as strong as the weakest link? Okay. Well, to make a chain, you have to have all these links, right? And then when you put the links together, you get the chain, right? So kata is created by numerous waza. A waza is an individual motion. So if I'm in a fighting stance and I throw gyakuzuki, that's a waza. It's atemi waza. If I throw a kick, that's giri waza. If I do a block, that's uke waza, right? This sort of thing. If I do a throw, it's nage waza. So an individual motion, an individual combative motion, whether that's a punch or a kick or a block or a throw or a lock. If I do an individual lock like this, right? You know, take a tami, that's kensetsu waza. If I choke you, it's shimi waza. If I throw you, it's nage waza. If I strike you, it's a temi waza. It's a waza. It's an individual motion. You catch me? When you learn kata, kata is a form comprised of individual techniques. So kata is form. So think of kata as the chain, right? And it's comprised of individual motions, individual movements, which is waza. So each one of those link is a waza. So if you learn kata number 1, someone decides to throw a right punch, right foot lead, or some sort of an attack, and you're in kamae. Well, kamae is a waza. It's dachi waza. And then they throw this strike, and you're going to go do an uke waza. And then you decide to counter with a atemi waza, and then finish with giri waza. Each one of those waza is an individual link. You can use it a variety of different ways. You can take that link off and stick it on that chain, take that link off and stick it on that chain. The only reason the kata is the kata, or it's the form, is because you have these particular waza linked in a certain way, and now you've made a pattern, you made a form. That's kata. Well, it's like a chain, right? When you learn a kata, so many times people learn kata like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Right? So they kind of count with it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're basically kind of given a number or some sort of a verbal, command towards the individual motion that they learn, so they can kind of remember the kata. You catch where I'm going at with that? But again, the kata is only good as the weakest link in it. So you can have 3/4 the kata just because you have really good skills in certain areas. There might be a kick, a punch, a block, or a motion that you're not very good at. So therefore, the kata is not really going to be functional in a fight. You're just going to have to extract certain principles and strategies and philosophies within the kata to apply that to whatever combative self-defense situation that you might find yourself in. So when you're learning kata, think of what you're trying to learn is very similar to that chain. But a chain is a chain. A chain isn't chains. So when you do the kata, you need to do the kata in a way where you're doing the kata. You're not stopping every time you do a waza. When you see people online and they're doing Gyokoryu, Koshi Jitsu, and they're hop, 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 this kind of thing, and they stop, 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 stop. Like no one would ever stop in a fight. Like the motion is just, it's a continual thing, right? But you see them stopping at those points. And I know a lot of people that do that have a really high rank in that particular organization. And maybe in that organization they have high rank. I'm not going to sit here to say one person doesn't have the rank that they claim to have. But if they're stopping in the middle of each one of those points, whoop, whoop, kind of thing, whoop, and they stop, 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 well, they're not very good at fighting. Just because someone is a high-ranking martial artist doesn't mean they're really good at fighting, not good at combat. My job is to make sure that you guys are good at fighting for everything in your life, not just in self-defense or some sort of combative situation, but teaching you how to survive in situations that you can't survive and prevail in situations that you're not supposed to prevail in, right? So here we base everything on skills. A lot of other organizations don't. They just kind of base it on the idea of, well, if you get the transmission, if you know the kata, that's good enough. It doesn't matter whether you can apply the kata. If you know it, they've got tons of stripes on their belts and lots of high rank. But when you see them going hoop, hoop, up, up, you know, kind of thing, and it's like, you know, ichimanji, doko, jumanji, shuto, and you can clearly see that what they're doing is stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. And they're not very good at fighting.